In this video, I'm counting down our list of the top 10 comics to invest in before it's too late for the winter of 2021. Let's go. "2020 is mercifully in the rearview mirror. The craziness of the holidays has subsided, and it's time for another quarterly check-in on the top 10 comics to invest in before it's too late. With the new year upon us, now is a great time to reflect on your collecting accomplishments in 2020 and to set goals for the year ahead. If we're just meeting, my name is Drew Stewart, and I am the owner of Como Comic Books, a comic book vendor based out of Columbia, Missouri. On our YouTube channel, we focus on bringing you the best tips and tricks to help you take your comic collection to the next level. If you enjoy content about comic books and comic book collecting, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more of that. And now, let's get into the list. Coming in at the number 10 spot is a book from one of the hottest comic book universes in the market right now, Star Wars. Our number 10 entry is Darth Vader number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. Published in May of 2015, this book hit the ground running upon release, as even though the series is only 3 issues in, word of mouth was already strong for the title. Written by Kieran Gillen with fantastic interior pencils and inks from Salvador Larroca, the issue was adorned with an Audi Granov cover. If you're a variant collector, there was a 1:25 ratio variant featuring a cover from Larroca. Be prepared to break into your piggy bank for the variant though, as it will run you north of $500 for a high-grade raw copy. Selling through 4 printings, there is no shortage of Darth Vader 3 goodness to collect. At the time of shooting this video, a prospective buyer should be prepared to spend in the neighborhood of $200 for a copy of this recent Star Wars key. All things Star Wars are hot right now, and while attention is currently on many of the Dark Horse books, once the market circles back to this book, it could be primed for another jump in value. Soaring into the top 10, our number 9 book is All-Star Comics number 58, the first appearance of Power Girl. Seriously? How is this issue still only worth $150? That's not a rhetorical question. Somebody please explain this to me in the comments section. I'm at a loss. Published in January of 1976, this issue saw the resurrection of the classic Golden Age title that brought us such comic book marvels as the Justice Society of America, Wonder Woman, and the first appearance of Superman and Batman in the same story. All-Star Comics 57 was the final issue to be published all the way back in February of 1951, before DC brought it back in the early months of 1976, featuring a cover from Mike Grell, a Jerry Conway story, and it was drawn by Rick Estrada and inked by former EC Comics artist Wally Wood. Criminally undervalued at $150 for a high-grade copy, this book may easily be one of the Bronze Age books with the most potential, particularly if you're a DC collector. The new year has brought an increased interest in this book, and one can only hope that this is the market acknowledging how good of a value this book is at its current value. A Stan Lee Steve Ditko classic rages into the number 8 spot, Tales to Astonish number 63. This January 1965 issue features a Jack Kirby cover and includes the first full appearance and origin of the Leader, one of the Hulk's oldest and most troublesome enemies. This story has it all: evil supervillains, androids, trains, nuclear weapons, and the Chameleon. The Leader character briefly made an appearance in the early days of the MCU in The Incredible Hulk, way back when Edward Norton was in the role of Bruce Banner. However, there are rumors going around that the character may pop up in Disney Plus's new She-Hulk series. A quick note, the Leader makes a cameo appearance in Tales to Astonish 62, and that issue has previously been noted as being his first appearance. So if you're looking for another cameo versus first full appearance situation to debate online, here you go. Currently, a high-grade raw copy will set you back around $300. If the Leader is confirmed for She-Hulk, expect that number to swiftly move higher as the market moves in its direction. If you're getting value out of this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. Likes, comments, and sharing of our content lets YouTube know that you enjoy our videos. Coming in at number 7 is Saga of the Swamp Thing number 37. Swamp Thing's second comic book series got off to a rough start. By the time issue number 19 came out, the series was on the verge of wandering aimlessly, and the loose ends were beginning to pile up. That is when the unexpected happened. Issue number 20 featured a new writer fresh from across the pond. A young but already established Alan Moore took over the writing duties for the title. In a single issue, Moore resolved nearly all of the dangling plot threads from the preceding 19 issues so that with issue number 21, he could begin his tale of Swamp Thing with a clean slate. By the time issue 37 was released in June of 1985, the series was on fire, featuring the first full appearance of John Constantine, DC's chain-smoking expert on all things that are horrifying in the DC universe. Saga of the Swamp Thing 37 is a book that has come into its own in recent years. Despite the Constantine character having early success in Swamp Thing, going on to star in his own series, Hellblazer, for an impressive 300 issues, a movie adaptation with Keanu Reeves in the lead role, and a TV series for NBC that later crossed over with the Arrowverse, this issue never really saw that much of a value increase. It is the NBC show that brought the market's attention back to this book and helped it cross into the triple digits value-wise. A prospective buyer should be prepared to pay in excess of $300 for a raw high-grade copy of this issue in the current market. That's not bad for a character that came into existence just because the series artists Steve Bissette and John Toddleben wanted to draw a character that looked like Sting. Thundering into the number 6 spot is Thor 225, the first appearance of Firelord. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. I love this book. I have been specking on this book for a while now, and I can't keep it to myself anymore. Donny Cates seems to really like a couple of things: symbiotes and heralds of Galactus, which is where Firelord comes in. The story starts off with Thor and Hercules, who've been off doing their thing, stopping the Destroyer, only to come back to Earth and discover that Firelord has signaled for Galactus to come to devour Earth. Awesome. Published in July of 1974, this issue has been on the back burner for far too long, especially given all of the recent focus on Galactus and his heralds. Thor 225 features a creative team that sounds like the lineup for a comic book all-star team. Jerry Conway on the script, John Buscema on the pencils, and Joe Sennett on the inks. At the time of recording this video, you can pick up a high-grade raw copy of this book for under $200, and if you're in the market for an affordable Bronze Age Marvel book to invest in right now, I can't recommend this one enough. Be sure to check those pages before you pull the trigger on it, as this issue does include a Marvel value stamp. Fighting its way to the number 5 spot is Avengers 196. Written by Dave Michelini with George Perez art, this June 1980 book has had a really rough year. This book was crazy hot leading up to the release of the Black Widow movie. There's just one problem: the movie never came out. 8 months past the film's original release date, it's still not been released. Currently, it's on the schedule for May 7th, 2021, more than a full year after its original release date. Featuring the first appearance of the Taskmaster, a longtime favorite for many Marvel fans, Avengers 196 is currently selling around $125 for a high-grade raw copy. A year ago, this book was selling for $200 plus, but the delay in the movie release has caused it to lose steam in the market. This makes this book a major contender for a short-term hold, as books typically reach their peak values leading up to the release of the movie or television project that they're associated with. If Disney sticks to the May 2021 release date for the Black Widow film, this book is likely to see a quick jump in value as the movie's release draws near. What goals have you set for your collection for the new year? Let me know in the comments below. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the number 4 book on our list was released. You guessed it, blasting its way into the number 4 spot is Star Wars number 1. Released by Marvel Comics in July 1977, Star Wars had already taken over the summer of 1977 by the time this comic book hit the spinner racks. Featuring the first part of the movie adaptation of A New Hope, as scripted by Roy Thomas, this book was drawn and inked by Howard Chaykin. Star Wars 1 included the first appearances of most of your favorite Star Wars characters in a comic book, Luke, Leia, C-3PO, R2, Darth Vader, the Stormtroopers, and so on. The success of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus has proven to be a real boon for the Star Wars back issue market. We've seen issues such as Clone Wars 1 and Heir to the Empire 1 absolutely explode in value. While this issue has not seen the explosive increases some of the more obscure or long undervalued Star Wars issues have, this book has been a steady performer for decades. The price for this issue is a little volatile right now, though. Typically, you can find a nice high-grade copy for around $200. However, just days before the recording of this video, a listing for a self-described very fine minus copy sold for $1,000 on eBay. The same day, a CGC 9.6 copy sold for just $25 more at $1,025. That sale may just be a fluke, or it could be a harbinger of what's to come. Regardless, if you're looking for a long-term hold and want to get in on the Star Wars excitement in the market, Star Wars #1 is an established and rather safe book to invest in. Before you buy, be sure to do your research, as this issue saw a variety of reprints that you'll want to be able to discern from the first printing. Also, keep your eyes out for the elusive unicorn edition of this book, the 35-cent price variant. That one is going to cost you a lot more. Coming in at number 3 is Daredevil 168. In a Frank Miller story simply titled Elektra, we are introduced to the long-lost love interest of Matt Murdock, the beautiful but deadly Elektra Nachos. Featuring Miller art breakdowns and Klaus Janson finished art, Daredevil 168 is where the Miller run of Daredevil really takes off, as the writing responsibilities for the title fell to Miller for the first time. From this point on, it's ninjas, assassins, pain, and suffering. Despite all of that, it's also some of the best comics you will ever read. The comic world was recently shocked when Elektra was introduced as the new Daredevil, filling the vacancy left when Matt Murdock was sent to prison. This unexpected development in Daredevil Volume 7, number 25, has propelled Daredevil 168 back to the forefront for collectors. This January 1981 issue is currently commanding a price of $175 for a high-grade raw copy. Depending on how long Elektra remains in the role of Daredevil and how well the change is received by fans, Daredevil 168 could be primed for a jump in value. At a minimum, pick up this run in trade paperback and give it a read. You won't be disappointed. Number 2 on the list is Incredible Hulk 449, the first appearance of the Thunderbolts. You've heard of the Suicide Squad, right? They were in that terrible movie a few years ago. The Thunderbolts are the same thing. A group of villains working together as a team for the forces of good, but this is just the Marvel version. Published in January of 1997, this issue came out during a dark time for Marvel Comics. The comics bubble of the 90s had burst, the Clone Saga and Onslaught had just killed Spider-Man and X-Men's readership, respectively, and Marvel Comics had just declared bankruptcy. In this environment, Peter David and Mike Deodato Jr. introduced the Thunderbolts, giving us just a little bit of that silver lining you hear about. Charter members of the Thunderbolts featured in this issue include Baron Zemo, Goliath, Beetle, Fixer, Moonstone 2, and Screaming Mimi. Rumors have been floating around that the Thunderbolts may be heading to Disney Plus's Marvel lineup, with a possible introduction or setup being included in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The most budget-friendly entry on our list at the time of recording, a high-grade raw copy can be found for around $70, which is up from a value of $45 where the book had plateaued in recent years. If the Thunderbolts are introduced on Disney Plus, and if the team is able to connect with audiences, this issue could be in for a wild ride. This book has been under the radar for a while, so be sure you're keeping an eye out while you're digging through those discount boxes full of late 90s books. I pulled 2 copies of this book out of a $1 box as recently as just a few years ago. Let's take a quick time out to recognize a couple members of the community who recently commented on some of our videos. Here's a big shout out to QB Comic Addict and Comics with Bueller for leaving comments on our last video. If you guys aren't familiar with Bueller, check out his channel for some great comic book content. If you're not engaging in the community through posting comments, liking our videos, or interacting with our community posts, I hope you will consider doing so if you find our content helpful. It's a quick and simple way for you to help support the channel, and you never know, you might just see your comment in one of our future videos. Now, let's finish off our list of the top 10 comics to invest in before it's too late for the winter of 2021. Creeping into the number 1 spot on the list is Batman 181. Published by DC Comics in June of 1966, this issue features the first appearance of Rogues Gallery member Poison Ivy in a tale cleverly titled Beware of Poison Ivy. The cover was drawn by legendary DC artist Carmine Infantino, while Sheldon Moldoff was ghosting for Bob Kane for the story pencils, and Robert Kanigher provided the story. This book is our final entry into the "How is this book only worth this much?" list. As the market currently stands, a high-grade raw copy of this book will set you back over $1,000, but mid-grade copies can be picked up in the low to mid hundreds of dollars. That's right, a very collectible copy of the first appearance of a major Batman villain from the Silver Age can be had for well under $500. For perspective, Batman 189, the first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow, but his third appearance overall, is valued virtually the same as Poison Ivy's first appearance. I just don't get it. However, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, as a November 2020 sale for a gorgeous CGC 9.8 copy crushed the previously recorded high sales price for this issue with a final sales price of $90,000. The most recently recorded prior sale was from September of 2014, where a CGC 9.8 copy sold for a modest $11,000. To put it simply, one day the market is going to wake up and realize how undervalued this issue is, and when that happens, it may swiftly price itself out of reach for many collectors. So if you're itching for a new first appearance to add to your collection, I recommend that you track down a copy of Batman 181. It's a new year full of new opportunities. The comic book market continues to be strong as we enter 2021, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. However, it's times like these where we remember that what goes up must eventually come down. I hope this year sees the return of comic conventions and shows that so many of us are greatly missing. The hobby is so much better when we can get out and enjoy it together. I hope that you find success and enjoyment in what the hobby brings you in 2021. We'll see you in the spring for the next installment of Comics to Invest in before it's too late. Happy hunting out there, everyone, and don't forget to collect responsibly. I will see you in the next video.